Glad to have you with us here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest news and rumors from around the National Football League as we are talking about Josh Jacobs as well as Chase Young, Cordarrelle Patterson, and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Quick survey to begin today's show. If you think James Bradbury was holding in the Super Bowl, like today's video, if you are a sorry Eagles fan that is still in denial, then go ahead and comment and tell me why. But real ones know he was holding. It was the right call. Right team won. Go ahead and hit that like button and we'll get started on today's show. So rumors are swirling around Las Vegas Raiders running back Josh Jacobs and his future with the organization. And we've talked about a lot over the last several weeks. One of the themes of this offseason has been running backs not getting paid and getting those franchise tags, or in the case of Dalvin Cook, getting released, and hoping that they would get that money, and it's just not been out there for them. Josh Jacobs, another one of those guys that got the tag but didn't get the money he was looking for and is still trying to get that money. Could he sit out this year potentially, or could he be traded elsewhere, or will he be back in Vegas and have a new contract? Let's catch up to speed on what Josh Jacobs' offseason has looked like. After he got the franchise tag on April 28th, he indicated that he hadn't been around the team in months, that there was no communication, that he was just not involved at all with the rest of the organization. Then on June 1st, he shared a video from the I Am Athlete podcast, and the video was advocating for Jacobs to play hardball in negotiations, to be very aggressive and to not give a discount of some sorts to the Raiders organization. Then on June 6th, he did not report to mandatory minicamp. Granted, he technically did not have to be there. I know it's called mandatory minicamp, but because he hadn't signed the franchise tag he was given, he's technically a free agent. So he didn't have to be there, but nonetheless, he was not there. Then that was followed up on June 8th. He liked a tweet from Robert Griffin III, the former NFL quarterback, now turned analyst for ESPN, that he tweeted out saying it was offensive how the NFL was treating running backs and their contract situations across the NFL. He then followed that up a couple days later with his own tweet saying, "We got to do it for the ones after us," referring to the guys after Josh Jacobs and others, hoping that they would get theirs and get paid as well. So here's the deal. The bottom line is this. July 17th is the magic day for Josh Jacobs and the Las Vegas Raiders to strike a long-term deal, or he'll be on the franchise tag for next season. Otherwise, he will not have a new contract in place, and we'll have to do this all over again in waiting to see where the negotiations go. That is the deadline for Vegas and for the Raiders to get something, is that July 17th date. Now, I'll say this. If I were the Las Vegas Raiders, and I am personally, when I look at this Raiders team, this is a team that is not going to be competitive in 2023. I don't believe the Raiders are going anywhere. Hate to break it to our Raider fans that may be watching, but the Raiders aren't going to be very good. If I was the Raiders, I would be working on trading Josh Jacobs right now and getting value out of him while I can get something for him. Because here's the deal. When you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, they are a long time away from getting back to where they need to be. And part of it falls on the head coach. Part of it's on the GM. I think they are a big work in progress ahead. I would move on from Jacobs now. I don't like paying long-term contracts to running backs as is. I think you are farther away from the top than you are from the bottom at this point. I would go ahead and move on from Jacobs and see what you can get. We'll see what they do. Top trade destinations for Josh Jacobs at this point, besides of where the Las Vegas Raiders could ultimately move on from him, include the Baltimore Ravens, the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New Orleans Saints. So, our pin comment today, will Josh Jacobs play for the Raiders this season or not? Tell us what you think. Y for yes, in for no. Our pin comment today, you might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it and get your votes in. Y for yes, in for no. Will Josh Jacobs play for the Raiders this season or not? Let us know what you think. Chase Young, could he be on his way out from the Washington Commanders? CBS Sports revealed a list of top suitors for the edge rusher from Washington, and here's a look of what they are. We've been told that the Commanders are not necessarily shopping Chase Young, but they are answering the phone and are interested to see what other teams have to say. The list includes the Bears at number 1, staying in the division, Detroit at number 2, Seattle at 3, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 4. That's followed up by the San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, and the Indianapolis Colts for those top 7 destinations for Chase Young if he were to be traded. Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports had this to say in particular about the Chicago Bears, who he had on top of his list. Matt Eberflus got a few expensive gifts this offseason, with Ryan Poles paying big bucks to replace Roquan Smith's playmaking at linebacker, while DeMarcus Walker is also an underrated addition. The coach still could use a premium edge rusher if he intends to oversee dramatic defensive improvement. Young could be just that, and better yet, he'd help the team keep a long-term focus as it builds around quarterback Justin Fields. With a league-leading $32.6 million in cap space, why not? Personally, I look at this. If I'm the Washington Commanders, I've already invested too much in Chase Young, a former number 2 overall pick, might I add you, to give up on Chase Young this early. You are not going to get anywhere close to the return on investment of what you gave up for Chase Young compared to where you picked him at. And I understand that he's been injured and he's missed a lot of time. But I feel like if you can get Chase Young to be healthy and be 100% out there, you are going to get an all-pro level edge rusher. And to me, I understand that the Commanders are a little strapped for cash with the other guys that they've paid, but I would like to give, if I'm Washington, Chase Young one more shot to see what he's got and then figure things out from there. So I wouldn't trade him, but they should have some suitors, and if they decide to go down that route, we'll see what they do. Where will Chase Young play next season? Will it be in Washington? Will it be somewhere else, one of those other teams that we mentioned? Let us know in the comments section where you think Chase Young is ultimately going to end up or not. Folks, encourage you to share today's video here on NFL Daily. If you click the share button, select the Twitter icon, and then click post to Twitter. If you tag me at Tyler Jones Live, then I am going to retweet you. And if you follow me, the first 10 people that follow me and share today's show, I'm going to follow you back on Twitter. Why? Because we feel like doing that around here. If you pat my back, I'll pat your back, and we can get this show out to as many people as possible so they can be a part of what we're doing here on NFL Daily. Share the show. Show us some love. We'll show you some love. Tag me on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live, and we certainly would appreciate it so we can get this show out to the masses to be a part of what we're doing here on the channel. Final up before we go, Cordarrelle Patterson of the Atlanta Falcons. Could he be on his way out of Atlanta? We already know about what the Falcons did, bringing in Bijan Robinson there in the NFL draft, but does that mean that Patterson's time in Atlanta is coming to a close? Bleacher Report is suggesting the Falcons should be looking to trade Patterson. Here's more from Christopher Knox. The 32-year-old is entering the final year of his contract, and the Falcons could save $4.3 million in cap space by trading him. While the return for Patterson wouldn't be massive, Atlanta should be able to get a pick or player back from a team with less backfield depth. Now, look at it this way. Here's something to think about. Remember, Cordarrelle Patterson has a lot of experience at the wide receiver position. And if you look at the receivers for Atlanta, they have a couple good weapons, but it's not a very deep receiver room there in Atlanta at this point in time. They don't need him to run the football. They got plenty of options there in Atlanta. Cordarrelle Patterson would barely be getting any touches as a running back. If he's going to stay in Atlanta, if I'm Arthur Smith and company, I'm moving him back to receiver. If he's not going to go back to receiver, then move on and get something while you can. He's 32 years old. I can't imagine you're going to get too much for him, especially as a second or third string running back, depending on what franchise he goes to. But nonetheless, that's what I'd be looking at. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm doing one of two things. Either I'm moving him back to receiver, or you're moving on from him and saving money elsewhere. We'll see what they do. What should the Falcons do with Cordarrelle Patterson? Should they move him to receiver? Should they trade him? What do you think? Tell us in the comment section what you think the Falcons should do with him, and let me know. Don't forget, as always, to subscribe to the channel for the latest happenings across the National Football League. We got you covered here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports with daily news and rumors. We do our live shows on Mondays. We'll do our Red Zone channel throughout the season. This is the channel for the diehard NFL fans. Subscribe now for free today. You'll be glad you did, and we'll see you next time here on NFL Daily.